AITA for ruining my stepsister's birthday. Story 1. My stepsister turned 15 last Saturday. She wanted a family dinner to celebrate. My dad and her mom agreed and invited my dad's side of the family since none of her bio family are in her life. I-16F was supposed to be there, but the night before I slept at my grandparents', and then my extended family decided to spend the day with me instead. They told my dad the morning of. They had a fight. Dad called me and told me I needed to get them all there, including me, that my stepsister would be crushed if none of us showed up for her. I told him I didn't care. He tried to make us go and make me leave my grandparents' house, but we'd left already and he called us a bunch that morning in panic mode. First, for the background. My stepsister's bio father isn't in her life, neither are his family. Neither are her mom's family. It was just them until her mom met my dad 6 years ago. My mom died 2 years after she walked out on me and dad. I was close to her family and to my dad's family and most of all my dad. I had some issues with the whole mom leaves and then dies, so no chance to find out why stuff. But I never really missed her. I just needed my dad and he did give me his time. Until he met his wife. His time went all to her and her daughter, and when we all moved in together it went on her daughter. Sometimes I was included, but it was mostly one them. When I asked dad for time, he'd tell me he needed to make up for her not having a dad and how I could let his wife make up mom to me. I told him I needed him. I didn't need the woman who abandoned me or the woman he was now dating. I needed him. He told me not to be so greedy with him, and I'd had him alone for years. I told him it didn't mean I stopped needing him, and he said I had to grow up. I asked for years but always got brushed off. My dad's family would step in and my dad was like, you need to treat both girls the same, and he told them they couldn't be family for me and not her. He'd get mad if they got me more, but always got his stepdaughter more. One Christmas she got a Switch, 10 games, and a TV for her room. I got 2 games I didn't like, even though I was told to make a list, and clothes. For my 16th birthday, Dad refused to join me and his family to celebrate at their house. He said my stepsister had a play she was in. Because I chose my birthday over her play, he didn't get me a gift either. My grandparents found this out Friday night when I was at their house. This is what led to them deciding they were going to prioritize me. After all the crazy of Dad finding out calmed down and my stepsister was a mess because we didn't show to her birthday dinner, Dad told me to stay with my grandparents. I'm still here. But he showed up yesterday after school and he told me my behavior was disgusting, and as her big sister I should have been there for her and saved her from feeling hurt. He said I was selfish to my core. AT? First comment. NTA, your dad needs to learn how to parent. You are not equal. She is not his daughter, you are. All children need to feel love and feel special to their parents. I think your dad thinks his heart is in the right place, but he screwed up. You are not alone. This happens quite often when a man gets a new wife. Previous children tend to get left behind. It sounds like you can use some grief counseling by yourself and also sessions with your dad to work through this. At 16, you can't just figure this out on your own. You are still growing into yourself. I am sorry that you are feeling abandoned, the one person who should be there for you. Second comment. TA, you are still a child and he is an adult. He is shirking his parenting responsibilities when it comes to his biological daughter to cater to stepdaughter prob, because that puts him in good graces with the new wife. He has no idea the repercussions of his emotional neglect. You are not you are a kid and your feelings are hurt, and that is valid. However, intentionally hurting your stepsister's feelings because you are hurting isn't going to make you feel any better in the long run. Third comment. NTA. He needs to look in a mirror. He abandoned you when he started prioritizing your stepsister. He's upset because you won't prioritize her needs over yours. Going to her play instead of celebrating your birthday is a big demand. Especially 16. I'm glad you let his family know and that you're staying with people who love you. It's not selfish to want attention from your only living parent. It's not selfish to want to be celebrated on your birthday. Story 2. AITA for telling my son he needs to learn to get along with other students. Our son 13M went to the same elementary school as many of his friends. We moved away to another section of the city because my mom was very sick and it allowed us to take care of her without driving 40 minutes each way. She needed to be checked on frequently, and so we did it for her so she didn't need to go to a nursing home. But we didn't think it would affect our son so much. My son is very gifted in math and engineering and is probably the typical nerdy kid. Things were fine when he was in the equally nerdy elementary school. Parents specially go to that school district because of the full AP and IB high school, and the property values in the neighborhood makes the schools there have special programs and after-school programs, and there was a robotics program for their middle school which I don't believe is offered elsewhere. My mom passed 3 months ago, and as we live nearby, we are going to be renoing the home ourselves and moving in to live nearby, which will take probably a year before selling. My old sister is in Europe, so I don't have other family help in this. The problem is my son has been complaining about bullying with the school year starting. He wants to go back to the original school district. My wife wants us to go back as we sold our house at the peak and are currently renting and rent there so we can go back while we travel 40 min each way to Reno after we both work full-time. It also means adding the cost of renting while we need to travel back and forth. My wife wants us to hire professionals and just deduct that from the sale of my mom's house. I feel like 1 more year isn't a lot to put up with, but my son doesn't want to go back to this school when he normally enjoys school. He says the other kids make fun of him because my wife packs him meals. They bully him for everything according to him. The school he is registered to near my mom's house is more in a rough area. I don't think it means it's bad, but he hates it and cannot seem to relate to the other students. I don't want him to be privileged and live in a bubble, but my wife, who also moved from a more normal school district to a more affluent and gifted school, said it was more fun to be where other kids take academics seriously and didn't make fun of her for liking it. I have sat my son down and told him that life means he needs to deal with environments he isn't used to, and it's better for us as a family and for our finances to wait until we sold the house and can more back next year. He got angry and said he never wanted to move, and I said it was for Grandma, and he argued Grandma passed so we should move back, and I said he should try to get along with the other students and the fact he cannot is on him. He refused to talk to me all week and refused to go back to school shopping, which is normally his favorite time of year. First comment, AITA 4. 1. Not prioritizing your son's health and education. 2. Arguing what is bad for your son is good for the family when your son should be your first priority. 3. Prioritizing your son compromising his personality, ambitions, and interests just to fit into an environment he will grow out of at a developmental time in his life, potentially affecting him for the rest of his life. 4. Teaching him it is better to conform than to excel. 5. Blaming him for being bullied. But then you sound like a bully, so I understand why you might empathize with bullies you've never met more than your wife and son. You aren't teaching your son a hard lesson he needs to go learn. You're just teaching him that he isn't a priority. Suck it up is not a solution. You can't just will problems away. Second comment, AITA. Particularly with the programs at the old school district, why in the world would you not want your son there? And why would you want your son to stay in a place where he is miserable when it's entirely possible to get him back to the old school and his friends? Yes, life means you have to deal with things you don't like. You know what else life means? Life means if you're a parent, you look out for your kids and do what is best for them. Third comment. You have options, you just don't like them. Your son doesn't have options, and you're telling him to suck it up because dad doesn't like to drive or won't hire professionals. This is all about you, not about the majority of your house. Way to be the stick in the mud. I hope your wife decides to move and let you stay by yourself to finish renovations. It'll only be for a year. I'm sure they won't be bothered with the distance. Story 3. AITA for not letting my sister have the first baby name we both loved, not the a-hole. So, I 28F have been married for 3 years, and my husband and I are expecting our first child. My sister Kate 30F has been trying for a baby for a while but hasn't had any luck yet. A couple of years ago, we both talked about baby names we liked, and we both fell in love with the name Luna. We joked about who would get to use it first, but neither of us was pregnant at the time, so it wasn't a serious thing. Fast forward, I'm now pregnant, and my husband and I decided we want to name our baby girl Luna. When I told Kate, she flipped out, saying that I'm stealing her baby name and that it's not fair since she's been wanting to use it for years. I reminded her that we both liked it, and it's not like I'm doing this to spite her. I just genuinely love the name. Now she's telling our family that I'm being insensitive and selfish for not letting her have the name, especially since she's struggling to get pregnant. Our mom even suggested I pick another name to keep the peace, but my husband and I have our hearts set on Luna. AITA for wanting to use the name we love, even if it's the one my sister also wanted. First comment, your title is inaccurate. You're not letting your sister use the name. In fact, it's close to the opposite. I have about 4 cousins with the same name, they're all named after the same relative. And guess what? Everyone's fine with it. You would be in the wrong if you said that since you're making your kids Luna, she can't name hers Luna. But she is just as free to use the name as you are. It could even be a special bond the 2 cousins share. But in no world should one or the other of you be able to dictate which name is used. Second comment. NTA. Kate has known for years that you like the name Luna as much as she does. It's not like this is a huge surprise. You're not even telling her she can't use it herself. I think it's more likely she's hurting over her pregnancy struggles. She's focusing on the name because it's easier to think about. Give Kate some space. Hopefully she'll come around once she's had time to settle. Use the name. Third comment. I'm guessing the issue isn't really the name. Your sister is probably hurting from struggling to conceive, and it can be so extremely difficult to see others get their precious baby while TC for years. I think the name is just a crux to voice her pain. Personally I'd pick another name that's assuming you love your sister.